Joanna and I were wondering if maybe you'd like to come and stay with us for a little.
Stay with you?
Yes.
At your house?
That's right.
Oh, yes. Take me away. Please take me away. I'm such a coward. I didn't know what a coward I was.
Yes, these things can be a little shattering, can't they?
It's so awful being here and feeling so weak.
Now, why should you feel wicked?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm being silly. But you see, it's rather dreadful when your mother dies.
Yes.
If you don't like it...
No. Heaven!
Megan, are you all right?
I do hope that poor Megan, that she hasn't been too much upset by all this.
Losing one's mother is a dreadful thing.
Yes, yes, of course. What I really meant was the unpleasantness behind it.
Ah, the unpleasantness. Tell me, Miss Barton, do you think there might be any truth in it?
No, surely not. I'm quite certain that Mrs. Symington never... the boy wasn't. I mean, it's quite untrue.
Have you received any unwanted mail, Miss Barton?
Oh, no, no, indeed. Oh, that would be dreadful.
You see? Away with the fairies. She looks at you sometimes as if she doesn't understand a word.
Well, perhaps she's just not interested.
Or one banana short of a bunch. Look, if she becomes too much of a nuisance...
No, she's no trouble.
It's not healthy lounging about at her age.
It's hardly surprising. Her mother treated her like a 12-year-old.
Strictly entre nous, I couldn't stand the woman. Of course, we don't want to speak ill of the dead, but oh, what an acid tongue. Gossip was all that interested her. No, I'm afraid I didn't think very much of her. But I never suspected the truth.
Mrs. Symington was alone in the house. Her husband was at his office, her daughter was out cycling, and the governess, Miss Elsie Holland, was out with the two boys.
And the maids, Inspector?
It's their day off, sir.
When did the letter arrive?
By the afternoon post, sir. Apparently, Miss Symington was so disturbed by its contents that in a state of great agitation she wrote her final words, "I can't go on," before taking cyanide dissolving water.
I had been treating Mrs. Symington for a neuralgic condition for quite some time.
Would you say she was generally of a nervous disposition, Doctor?
Oh, yes. Yes, I would, yes.
What is your estimate of the time of death?
Oh, between 3 and 4 o'clock.
The allegation contained in that letter was a calumny, a foul calumny. Mona was the most devoted wife, the most loving mother. Her health was fragile, her soul sensitive. Such a vile lie would have shocked her greatly. Whoever wrote this foul letter murdered my wife as surely as if they'd stabbed her through the heart.
I condemn utterly the writing of these wicked and despicable letters. One death has already resulted, that of the late Colonel Appleton, and now Mrs. Symington. In my opinion, the writer is morally guilty of murder. I find that the deceased, Mona Patricia Symington, committed suicide whilst being temporarily insane.
So gin's your tipple, is it?
Absolutely, I always have one about now. What's yours?
Lemon barley water.
You are nice, you know. You treat me like a real person. Look.
Well done.
I know, I've made a fearful hash of it, haven't I?
You know, it's much better if you suck rather than blow.
Yes, of course, I wasn't thinking. People think I'm stupid.
I don't.
But you're not like the others. See, what they don't realise is that inside I know exactly what they're like, and that all the time I'm hating them.
Hating them?
You'd hate people too if you knew you weren't wanted. Mummy never liked me.
Of course she did.
She didn't, because I reminded her of my father, and he was very cruel to her, and what she really wanted was to be left alone with my stepfather and the boys. And now she's left us alone.
It's difficult, I know, to see things clearly. But in time, I promise, things do get easier. It's all out there, all to play for. We should all remember that.
Do you mean leave here?
Why not?
You mean like earn a living?
If you want it.
What would I do?
Well, we'd have to think of something.
We?
You'd have to think of something.
Any chance of a top-up?
I didn't know you were here.
Yes. I've just popped round to take Joanna out for a bit of a...
what?
What? For a walk. For a walk, actually.
Yes, well, make sure you don't overexcite her.
Oh, no.
Miss Marple.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pye.
I'm afraid my fingers have forgotten how to dance. They have of late become accustomed to a more funereal pace.
Yes. A most distressing time for you all.
Quite so.
I understand you knew the Colonel.
A little. And many years ago. He fought with a friend of mine who was killed in the Great War. Was kind enough to inform me of the circumstances of his passing. And you, Mr. Pye?
Oh, I hardly knew the man. We occasionally locked horns over a rubber, but that was the extent of our acquaintance.
I must confess, I would never have imagined him taking his own life. Would you, Mr. Pye?
Well, the man is dead, Miss Marple. Can that not be an end to the matter?
This village used to be such a peaceful little pocket. That is how I see this country. Full of little pockets. But tragically, this particular pocket has become rather grubby. One rotten apple, and we are all contaminated.
So you too, Mr. Pye, have been contaminated.
Yes, I have. Let them do their worst. I'll not go under. No more hole and corner for me, Miss Marple. Goodbye.
Poor thing. Poor thing.
Suicide, such a ghastly business.
Oh, you mean Mrs. Symington? Ah, a heron.
So when you said poor thing, who did you mean?
The person who wrote the letters, of course. Don't you understand how desperately unhappy somebody must be to sit down and write these things? How lonely. How cut off from people.